Hello, welcome back to my channel, Lindsey Doe. Listen closely. She gave you the test. You answered the wrong question. She wasn't asking what she appeared to be asking. The question on the surface, the literal words she used, was not the question. It was the packaging. The real question was living underneath it, wrapped in ordinary language, waiting to see if you were the kind of man who could hear what wasn't being said. You answered the surface question, logically, completely, maybe even impressively, and she quietly noted that you missed it entirely. Not with disappointment, with information, with the specific, clarifying information she was hoping not to gather, that you don't yet know how to hear her at the level she most needs to be heard. This video changes that, permanently. You keep having the right conversations in the wrong language. Here's what's been happening, and I want you to sit with this honestly. You're not a bad communicator. In most areas of your life, you're probably quite good at it. You're clear, direct, logical. You say what you mean. You listen for what people say. You respond to the content of what's in front of you. And in almost every context except this one, that serves you well. But with the woman you're with, or the woman you want to be with, there's a recurring experience of talking past each other, of feeling like you answered something and somehow made it worse, of being blindsided by a reaction you didn't see coming because everything you said was, by your own accounting, completely reasonable. She asked something, you answered, and something shifted, something got colder or more distant or more disappointed, and you genuinely cannot understand why because your answer was correct. Here's what nobody tells men about this experience. You were playing chess while she was asking you to play a completely different game. And the rules of that game aren't unreasonable or manipulative. They're actually psychologically deep and worth understanding. Because once you understand them, the confusion disappears, the blindsiding stops, and the connection that you could feel was possible but couldn't quite reach becomes something you can actually build. The two hidden signals she uses, the two specific patterns of communication that carry a completely different message beneath their surface, are what we're breaking down today. 1. Why women communicate in layers, the psychology underneath the pattern. Before we name the two signals, you need to understand why this layered communication exists, because understanding the why removes any trace of manipulation from the equation and replaces it with something much more human. Women learn, often from very early in life, that direct expression of certain needs, particularly emotional needs, needs for reassurance, needs that involve vulnerability, carries significant social risk. The need might be dismissed, it might be minimized, it might be used against them later. It might make them seem demanding or fragile in the eyes of someone whose opinion matters to them. So over time, many women develop a communication style that protects the deepest needs by encoding them inside more surface-level questions or statements. The real need gets wrapped in something safer, something that can be retracted if the response isn't safe, something that gives her information about whether you're capable of receiving the real thing before she exposes it directly. This is not games. This is self-protection that became so habitual it often operates unconsciously. She's not always aware she's doing it. But the two signals we're about to discuss are consistent enough and psychologically coherent enough that understanding them will transform your ability to be present with her in the moments that matter most. 2. The first hidden signal, the question that isn't really a question. She asks you something. It sounds like she wants information, but there's an emotional charge to it that doesn't quite match a simple information request. Do you think she's pretty? Would you ever want to live somewhere else? Did you even notice what I was wearing tonight? Do you think we're okay? On the surface, a question, requiring a yes or no, or maybe a brief explanation. But underneath, each of these is carrying an emotional payload that the literal question barely hints at. Do you think she's pretty? Is not a quiz about your aesthetic preferences. It's, am I enough for you? Do you still see me the way you used to? Is your attention somewhere I can't reach? Would you ever want to live somewhere else? Is often not geographic curiosity. It's, are you building a future that includes me? Do I factor into how you imagine your life going forward? Did you notice what I was wearing? Is rarely about the outfit. It's, Am I visible to you? Do you see me, specifically, personally, with attention? Or am I just part of the background of your life? Do you think we're okay? Almost never needs a technical relationship status update. It's, I'm feeling something between us that worries me, and I need to know you feel it too, and that you care enough to address it. The pattern is consistent. The surface question is a probe. It's testing the emotional temperature before the real question can be asked safely. And a man who hears only the surface question and answers only that, even if he answers it perfectly, has missed the entire point of the interaction. 3. How to hear what's actually being asked. So how do you train yourself to catch the real question beneath the surface one? You learn to notice the emotional register of how she's asking, not just the content of what she's asking. Is there a slight tension in her voice that doesn't match the casual nature of the question? Is the timing unusual? Is she asking this at a moment that seems disconnected from any practical need for the information? Did something happen recently that might have created an underlying worry or insecurity she hasn't directly addressed? When you notice any of these, when the emotional charge doesn't match the surface content, resist the impulse to answer the surface question immediately. Instead, pause, and then respond to the feeling rather than the fact. That feels like it might be about something more than just that. What's actually going on for you right now? I want to answer that, but first, are you okay? You seem like something might be sitting with you. I hear you asking that, but I want to make sure I'm answering what you're actually asking. What's behind it? These responses do something remarkable. They tell her, before you've even addressed the content, that you are paying attention at the level she actually needs. That you're not just processing her words, but receiving her experience. And that alone, before any answer is given, is often most of what she was looking for. 4. What happens when you answer only the surface? Let me paint this picture clearly so you understand what she experiences when the real signal gets missed. She asks the layered question. She's carrying something underneath it, an insecurity, a worry, a need for reassurance or to feel seen. And you give a logically correct, surface-level answer, maybe even a thoughtful one. She says, okay, or never mind, or I was just wondering. She seems fine. The conversation moves on. But something happens inside her that she probably won't tell you about immediately. She notes, not vindictively, just observationally, that you didn't hear her. That the need she was gently, carefully extending toward you didn't get received. And she tucks that need back inside, a little less likely to extend it the next time. A little more certain that this particular depth of herself needs to stay protected because you haven't demonstrated yet that you can receive it. Over time, and this is the quiet tragedy of this pattern, she stops reaching. Not dramatically. Not in a way that announces itself as withdrawal. She just gradually stops expecting that reaching toward you will produce connection at the level she most needs. And what was a relationship that could have gone very deep instead stays at a ceiling she stopped trying to break through. The missed signal, repeated often enough, builds the distance that both of you eventually feel, but neither of you can quite explain. 5. The second hidden signal. The statement that's actually an invitation. This one is different from the first. Where the first signal is a question hiding a question, the second is a statement hiding a request. She says something, declaratively, and waits. I've been so exhausted lately. Work has been really overwhelming. I feel like nobody actually gets what I'm going through. I used to be so much more confident. To a literal mind, these are statements of fact. They describe her current state. And the logical response is either to agree, to offer information, or to offer a solution. You should get more sleep. Have you tried talking to your manager? I get it. Work is hard. You should try working out more. That always helps with confidence. Every single one of those responses misses the signal entirely because she is not delivering a status report. She is opening a door. She is saying here is something real that is happening inside me. Are you going to walk through that door with me, or are you going to stand outside it and hand me a pamphlet? The statement is an invitation to go somewhere real together, to enter her emotional experience and be present inside it, not to solve it from the outside and move on. 6. What she actually needs when she makes these statements. Let's be specific, because be more emotionally present without practical texture is useless advice. When she says she's exhausted, she needs you to receive the exhaustion, not fix it. Tell me about it. What's been the hardest part? That question walks through the door. It says, I'm coming in with you, not just acknowledging you through the window. When she says work has been overwhelming, she needs you to sit inside that overwhelm with her for a moment before you problem solve. That sounds really heavy. What's been weighing on you most? Not, here's what you should do. Here's me, with you, in it. When she says she feels like nobody gets what she's going through, she's extending one of the most vulnerable things a person can say. She's telling you she feels alone in her experience. And the response that meets that is simple and completely non-fixing. I want to get it. Tell me what it's actually like. The pattern in all of these is identical. Go toward her experience. Don't redirect it. Don't minimize it. Don't solve it before it's been fully heard. Just go in. Be present inside what she's feeling long enough that she knows she's not alone in it. That alone, that accompaniment without agenda, is often everything she was asking for when she made the statement in the first place. 7. The real test she's running and what passing it actually means. Here's the psychological truth underneath both hidden signals. She's not testing you to watch you fail. She's testing you because she hopes you'll pass, because she wants to find evidence that you are someone she can be fully known by, someone who will receive the real her. Not just the articulate, surface-level version, but the worried, tired, insecure, complicated, fully human version, without making her regret the exposure. Every time she sends one of these signals, she is extending a thread of trust, saying, here is a small piece of what is actually happening inside me. What will you do with it? Passing the test doesn't mean having perfect responses memorized. It means demonstrating, through your presence, your questions, your willingness to go toward rather than redirect, that you are safe to be real with. And a man who passes this test consistently, who hears beneath the surface, who receives the real invitation in the statement, who goes in rather than standing outside, becomes something extraordinarily rare in her experience. He becomes the person she can actually be herself with. 8. How this changes everything going forward. Once you understand these two signals, every conversation with her becomes richer. Not because you now have a system to deploy, but because you understand what's actually being communicated. And understanding creates genuine responsiveness rather than strategic maneuvering. You stop answering the wrong question. You stop offering solutions to problems that needed accompaniment. You stop feeling blindsided by reactions to answers that seemed perfectly reasonable, because now you understand that the reasonableness of the answer was never the point. The point was always the presence behind it, the quality of attention, the willingness to hear at the level she was speaking from, not the level that was easiest to respond to. And when she consistently feels heard at that level, when the real signal consistently gets received, something opens between you that was always possible but never quite reached. She stops protecting herself from you. She stops encoding needs in safer packaging because she no longer needs the packaging. She starts speaking directly, trusting directly, opening directly, because you gave her evidence, consistent, present, genuine evidence that the real her is safe in your hands. Every signal she sent was an act of hope. Hope that you would hear beneath the surface, that you would walk through the door she opened, that you would demonstrate, in the small, quiet moments of ordinary conversation, that you are the person she has been looking for. The two hidden signals aren't traps, they're invitations. written in a language that nobody taught you to read, extended toward you by someone who was hoping you'd figure it out. Now you have. Now you know what she's actually asking when the question has more weight than it should. Now you know what she's actually inviting when the statement is waiting for you to walk toward it rather than comment on it from a distance. Go toward her, in the words, in the silence. In the small moments where she extends something real and needs to find you actually there. That is the whole thing. That is everything she's been waiting for. If something in this video shifted the way you understand the conversations you've been having, if you recognized moments you'd missed and now see differently, subscribe. Every week on this channel, we go into the real psychology of communication, connection, and what it takes to hear another person at the level they most need to be heard. No performance, no techniques, just truth about how people actually work. You're exactly where you need to be.